Hi, I'm Colin Jackson and you're watching Shortlist.com. For the second year I've been the ambassador for the Standard Chartered Great City Race, which is just a fantastic initiative, and it's a great pleasure to me to be involved in it because of what it's trying to achieve, which is just great. So as long as we keep motivated and we keep people in the work environment motivated, it's something that really will work. And of course £5 of all the entry fees go to Breakthrough the Breast Cancer Charity, which is just even better because it means we're all winners. You know, sport is not everyday life in one way. It's kind of a fantasy world that revolves around itself. And yes, we should preach forgiveness in an everyday life, but when you're taking opportunities from other people by cheating, then there's the stage where there's that cut-off line. Dwain Chambers knew when he took drugs that these were the consequences that would possibly happen if he got caught. He's now got caught and he seems to be challenging everything. A lot of the major athletes in the hierarchy, people who performed before, have really taken great offence because Dwain has really said in one way that you cannot reach the highest levels of sport without taking drugs. And a lot of us took a great offence to that and took that as a personal slur. And that's why a lot of the top athletes are really so anti-Dwain because of that and because of his circumstance. Well, a lot of people have been comparing Christine Ohuruogu's case with Dwain Chambers, and they're completely different, You know, you couldn't have such a huge difference really in the circumstance. Christine was somebody who wasn't at 3 tests over a period of time. It doesn't mean she was never tested, it just means that she missed 3 tests. So, for example, you could have asked for a test today, and then they asked you for one tomorrow. You missed the one tomorrow, but then you got the following one. Now, if there was anything in your system anyway, it would have shown up on either the tests. So this is a completely different story. I think people are trying to make a connection there to say, well, we've forgiven her for missing 3 tests. Well, yes, we have, because her circumstances were completely different. And if you look into it properly, you'll understand the reasons behind it. A lot of cynics will really be looking at Christine's performance at the World Championships become world champion, you know, very cynical. But the truth is, she's somebody with immense talent, a lot of graft, and she's very grounded. She knows what she wants to achieve, and she managed to pull off an incredible victory. Hand on heart, the best 400-metre runners in the world weren't in that race at that time. But to still come back from what she did and become the world champion was a great performance from Christine. And, you know, if you got to know her yourself, you'd understand that she's a genuine athlete and has a passion and love for the sport. So for me, it was a great performance. Somebody who was very exciting was someone by the name of Greg Rutherford. Now, he's a long jumper. He won our very first medal at the European Championships. He took a silver medal there, if I remember rightly, and he's been injured since. And this year he's returned with a really great jump of 8 metres and 20, and it just goes to prove if he finds 10 more centimetres, just that much more, he could be an outside chance for an Olympic medal, which would be fantastic for us, because you want people like Greg who are returning back to sneak in there and deliver a performance. That's what we really want to see, and he is somebody I would definitely say look out for. The question's been asked on numerous occasions why British athletes seem to suffer from injury a lot, and there could be numerous reasons from that. You know, a lot of the time we've got to look at their background work, what conditioning they've done, what general conditioning they've done to enable them to then raise their performance up another level. And I think a lot of the time we've missed out a lot of the basics, which would be things like star jumps, circuit training, you know, push-ups, all that basic stuff that should have happened when they were 14 and 15, perhaps was missed. And hence that's the reason why sometimes we can see our team is quite injury prone. Plus also I believe they don't compete enough at the highest level. And so when you do come to major events and major competitions, when all of a sudden you've stepped up a level, the intensity gets more and the chances of you getting injured because your body's not used to it greatly increases. And I think those could be a couple of elements that we need to possibly address if we're going to see success right the way through to 2012. A lot of the time people may think our athletes are just solely motivated by money nowadays. Well, I don't think that's really true. Most athletes now still would say they want to win an Olympic medal, they want to become a world champion, they want to become a European champion, more than how much cash they're going to earn. They will also know that cash is not very easy to come by in track and field, as everywhere else. You know, there is a blight on money. It's just not there as much as it used to be. So they have a realistic idea of what they can achieve, which are medals, and if fortune comes from that, then good luck to them. People have been asking about the China effect on sport, and will they all of a sudden produce lots of champions? Well, you know, that is a huge possibility because there's over 1.5 billion people in that one nation. And so the chances are, yes, they could possibly dominate the world of sport if they put the time and effort to do that. But you can see, you've got to try and find the talent between all that amount of people. Come on, there's so many people, and you're trying to sift through the most talented. So it might take some time before they actually produce them in every single sporting field, but they have the opportunity to, yeah, definitely. Well, British sprinting itself is better than it ever has been, strength in depth. But the only problem is world sprinting has moved on, and we just have moved on at the same pace. There's lots of reasons for that. It could be because of motivation, preparation is wrong, but we do have a bunch of talented young athletes, and I'm pretty sure in 2012 things will look completely different. But at this moment in time, world sprinting has just really accelerated, and we've just been left behind. When it comes to sport in the Olympic Games, I still think of more on the purist side of things. So even though at 2012 people will be crying out for some British sports like snooker, rugby, etc., being involved in it, well, I kind of think that it's not part of the Olympic movement. Nothing personally against those sports, but I do look at more the purist side of it, and I do look at other sports that are involved to be dominant in the Olympic Games, and I think they should stay there. When it comes to the Olympic Games, it seems like this is the only time when some of the minority sports are seen, once every 4 years, that we're quite successful at. Even, sailing, you don't see that much of that on the television. Badminton we're very good at as well, and you don't seem to have as much as that on the television compared to other sports. Well, that's just the way of the world, unfortunately. You try to cover as many sporting opportunities as we can to encourage many people as we can, but football is the dominant sport in this nation, and hence that's the reason why it gets all the massive publicity. And unfortunately, like everything else, if you push to the background, unless you're successful, that's the only time you're going to be seen.